Dream of the Red Chamber, Chapter 14.
We're talking about Wang Xifeng, or Fengji, and her takeover of the Ningguo mansion.
It's just a fantastic example of management theory in practice, but from, a completely unexpected place. The source is Chapter 14 of Dream of the Red Chamber, and the situation is, well, it's a total mess.
A complete disaster.
Fengji, who is from a different branch of the family, is brought in to run this enormous, complex funeral. And the house staff she has to work with are, let's just say, experts at avoiding work.
And she did it in hours, not weeks. How did she take this sprawling, chaotic household and just whip it into shape?
Well, to get the scale of the problem, you have to look at how the staff saw her coming. I mean, her reputation was already huge.
What were they saying?
The chief steward, a guy named Sheng, he pulls everyone aside and basically says, be careful. He calls her a famous, fierce commodity, sour face and hard heart.
A fierce commodity. That's not a compliment.
Not at all. Yeah. And he adds that when she gets angry, she won't recognize people, meaning she doesn't care who you are, who you're related to.
All the usual excuses and connections are just gone.
Exactly, which in that kind of hierarchical system is terrifying. But here's the fascinating part. Even though they're scared, they kind of know they need it. One of them actually says something like, we actually need her to come in and fix things. Everything is a mess.
So they're drowning in the chaos they themselves created. They know it's broken.
They know it's broken, but they can't fix it from the inside. They need that external force.
Okay, so Fengji arrives. She walks in. What's move number one? It's not yelling, is it?
No, it's much smarter than that. Her first move is to establish total visibility, control through information. She orders two things drafted immediately. First, detailed account ledgers, the BUs. So she knows where every single thing is. And second, and this is the killer move, a complete roster of every single person in the household, the Jiaku Huamingche.
The roster, the list of names, that's not just a list, that's a weapon, isn't it?
It's absolutely a weapon, because in a place that runs on personal favors and unwritten rules, a written, verifiable list means there's nowhere to hide.
You can't just blend into the background anymore.
Nope. You are on the list. She knows your name. She knows your job. Anonymity is gone. And with it, the whole culture of plausible deniability.
So once she has the names, then comes the law.
Then comes the law. She gathers them all, and she surgically removes the one phrase that was killing the entire organization.
Which was?
She told them, you can no longer say, that's how this mansion always was.
Oh, that is the sound of corporate death right there. Because we've always done it this way.
It's the ultimate excuse for doing nothing. She just bans it. And she says, you follow my rules now. And if you make a mistake, the punishment will be clean and straightforward, no appeals.
That's the psychological warfare. But she backs it up with something practical. The time grid.
Oh yeah, the time grid.
Right.
It was terrifyingly precise. This wasn't try to be on time. She gave them exact times down to the quarter hour. She even used her own personal clocks, her Zongbiao, to make it clear there was one official time, hers.
So just how brutal was this schedule?
It was designed to break habits. Roll call was at Maozang RK.
Which is 5:30 in the morning?
About that, yeah. Incredibly early. Breakfast at 10. But the real game changer was how she handled communication.
The constant interruptions, the quick question that kills productivity.
Exactly. She killed it. She decreed that all reports, all warrants, all requests, wheeling Paihushi, could only happen in one single short window at midday. Uchuke.
So you have to consolidate your questions. You have to think ahead. You can't just wander in and bother the boss whenever you feel like it.
You can't. And she held herself to it, too. She was there for the 5:30 a.m. roll call, and she was there at night, Juchu, to personally collect the keys. She lived the system.
Okay, so she knows who everyone is, and she knows when they're supposed to be working. Next is deployment. And this is where the hyper-specialization comes in, right?
Yes. This is, it's like a 17th century version of an operational flowchart. She takes her 144 staff members and gives them incredibly specific, single-focused jobs.
Give us some examples. The detail is just wild.
Okay, get this. 20 people split into two shifts. Their only job was pouring tea for guests.
That's it.
That's it. Another 20 people, their only job was meals and tea for the family. 40 people were assigned only to the funeral rites, incense, oil, that sort of thing.
So there's no excuse. You can't say, oh, I was busy helping with dinner, so I couldn't pour the tea.
Zero ambiguity. But where it gets really innovative and, frankly, a little scary is how she dealt with theft.
Asset management, the stuff that always goes missing.
Right. She used a system of collective financial accountability. It's called MIALP.
So how did that work with, say, the dishes?
Okay, so she assigns 4 people to be in charge of the teacups.
Yeah.
Just the teacups. If a single cup goes missing or breaks, all 4 of them have to pay for it.
Oh, wow.
Same for the wine and food vessels. 4 people in charge, 1 thing missing, all 4 pay.
So you're not just accountable for your own work. You're now policing your 3 colleagues, because if they mess up, it costs you money.
You are watching them like a hawk. It's weaponized peer pressure. But she took it even further to this insane extreme. People call it the blade of grass policy.
Right. Explain this, because it's unbelievable.
She assigned staff to specific rooms, and they were responsible for everything in that room, not just the valuables.
You mean everything?
Everything. The chairs, the antiques, sure. But also the spittoon, the duster, and the text literally says, a single blade of grass. Ye cow, ye meow.
Huh.
If anything at all was lost or damaged, the person assigned to that room had to pay for it.
So every single item suddenly has a monetary value attached to it, and it's coming out of your pocket.
Exactly. The culture of petty theft, of things just walking away, it stops overnight. Because that duster is now your financial liability.
Okay, so the system is in place, but a system's just a piece of paper until it's enforced. This brings us to the show of force.
Right. And first, she needed an enforcer she could trust, or at least control. She puts Gumsheng's wife in charge as the general overseer. Her job is to report everything. Laziness, gambling, you name it.
And what's the threat to keep the overseer honest?
It's a huge one. Fengji tells her that if she finds out she's shown any favoritism, her 3 or 4 generations' reputation is ruined.
That's an existential threat in that culture. That's not just getting fired.
No, it's social ruin, so you know the reports are going to be accurate.
Yeah.
Then comes the test. The 5th 7-day rite. The mansion is swarming with people, monks, nuns, guests. It is peak chaos.
The perfect time for the system to break. And Fenji makes this grand entrance.
She does. She arrives, sees the coffin, and immediately bursts into tears, like broken strings of beads, the book says. She performs the role of the grieving relative perfectly. And then,
Snap. Back to business.
instantly, the second the ritual mourning is done, she's ice-cold manager again. And she immediately finds her target.
She checks the roster.
Checks the roster.
Oh.
One guy from the guest reception team is missing. His excuse. Pure, classic Ningguo mansion.
Yeah.
He woke up early like he was told, but then he got back into bed and overslept.
Oh, no.
This was the moment. She knew it. She even says it out loud, basically. If I let the first mistake slide, I can't manage anything.
So what's the punishment?
Swift.
Mm-hmm.
Public. Brutal. She orders him dragged out and beaten with 20 strokes of the board.
But that's not all, is it?
No, that's only half of it. At the same time, she docks him an entire month's silver in rations. Get that in me.
The double blow. Public humiliation and a financial hit that hurts his whole family.
It's a devastating message. Incompetence will cost you physically and economically. And then she escalates. She announces to everyone, tomorrow being late is 40 strokes, the day after 60. She basically dares them to test her.
The ultimate power move.
But the psychology of it. The final piece is what happens after the beating. The man, ashamed and in pain, is required to come back and formally thank her for the punishment.
That is just chilling. That forces compliance on a whole other level.
It does. And the result was instantaneous. The text says everyone realized Fengji's severity, Fengji Lihai, and they all started working diligently. Jinjingai. The chaos, the theft, the laziness, it just vanished.
The fear worked.
It worked overnight.
So this whole system, it's not something she could just set and forget. It required her own personal effort, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Relentless effort. She was there every single morning at 5:30 for roll call. Every day.
And she kept her distance, right?
A total professional distance. She worked alone in a side hall, the Boxian. She deliberately refused to socialize with the other family members.
Why was that so important?
Because socializing invites requests for favors, it invites gossip, it creates the appearance of bias. By staying separate, every interaction was professional. It preserved her authority to be impartial and, harsh when needed.
And she was doing her other job at the same time?
It's incredible. She's running this massive high-pressure funeral, but she's still processing warrants for her own mansion, the Rongguo.
And she's not just rubber stamping them.
Not at all. There's a moment where she gets 4 requests, and she rejects 2 of them. Not because they were for unnecessary things, but because the accounting was wrong. The numbers didn't add up.
The attention to detail is just staggering.
It is. But here's the final piece that makes her such a complex manager. For all her harshness to the staff.
She was kind to the clients.
Deeply. She showed real care for the main mourners. Jixian, and Yuxi. She would personally send over special high-quality porridges and side dishes from her own kitchen just to make sure they were eating. She knew her job was to support the principals while she fixed the process. And while all this is happening, you have the most powerful people in the country lining up to pay their respects. It's just wild.
We're watching the family's, COO Wang. We're watching her run an operation that would make a Fortune 500 company just weep.
It really shows you that for the Jias, their domestic life is statecraft. The level of rigor is the same. You see her microscopic focus on, say, who gets which supplies.
Right.
And then moments later, you see the macroscopic political validation from the entire regime. It's an incredibly high-pressure world she's in.
So let's start with where that power is maybe most personal. During lunch,
Okay.
Baiyu and Qinzong, they just wander in and interrupt Xifeng Fengji while she's eating. It seems casual at first.
Yeah, it's a family moment.
But the second she's done, you see the whole operational machine just snap right back into place.
That scene is so crucial because it moves instantly to the heart of her control system. The Dewey Pie.
Yeah.
The counterplaque.
Right. This woman comes in from the Ningguo house to get the plaque for, what was it, incense and lamp affairs?
That's minor, doesn't it?
But
that physical plaque is basically the master key to the entire household budget.
And Xifeng doesn't waste a second showing who's in charge of it. She makes a joke, saying if the woman had forgotten to come get the license, well, the cost would have come out of Xifeng's own pocket.
Which is such a brilliant backhanded way of saying nothing, and I mean nothing, moves in this house without my direct approval. No one gets supplies without this token.
It's like a corporate security fob, a purchase order, and the CEO's signature all rolled into one little object.
Exactly. Without it, the whole budget just freezes.
Oh.
But the system only works because of how it's enforced.
And that's the question, isn't it? Qinzong, who's new to all this, he asks the obvious thing.
The logical question.
Yeah. What stops someone from just, making a fake one and stealing a bunch of silver?
And her response is just, it's pure management genius wrapped in this incredible arrogance. She just scoffs at the idea.
Right. She basically says, you think you can just get away with that?
Yeah. And what that tells you is that the system works not just because the plaque is hard to forge, but because her central register book, the C, is perfect. It's immaculate.
And the punishment for trying to cheat her is something everyone is terrified of.
Her management isn't just procedural. It's personal terror.
But doesn't that make the whole thing incredibly fragile? I mean, if this entire financial structure rests on the fear of one person, what happens if Xifeng gets sick?
That's the key insight here. The system is fragile. It's designed to funnel all control through her, this one indispensable person.
Which is why she's always proving that she's on top of everything, even to Baoyu.
Yes.
When he asks about his study being prepared, she immediately pulls rank on him. She says, "It is difficult without me giving the counterplaque."
She's reminding him that even he, the golden child of the family, is subject to her administrative process.
And then she physically proves it. She pulls out the register book and shows him the entry that the paper for his wallpaper was literally just collected that day.
She doesn't just say, "I'm busy." She shows him the paper trail. It's an incredible power move. It makes it crystal clear where the real operational authority is.
And then, just like that, the mood shifts. We go from managing wallpaper to the trauma of a death.
The machine suddenly has to process real human grief.
The messenger, Czar, arrives from Suzhou, and the news is bad.
Right. Lin Dayu's father, Lin Ruhai, has died, and they give the exact time on the 3rd day of the 9th month. It's this very precise logistical report of a personal tragedy.
And we learn that Jillian is already there. He'd escorted Dayu in the coffin, and he won't be back for months.
And Czar was sent back for 2 reasons. 1, to deliver the news, and 2, on this very practical mission to get heavy winter clothes.
The contrast is so stark, immense soul-crushing grief, but somebody still needs a new fur coat for the trip.
And Bai's reaction is just pure emotion. He's immediately heartbroken, and he's not thinking about logistics. He's just worrying about Dayu, how much she must have been crying.
But Xifeng,
Yeah.
she's the manager. Her response has to be filtered through, efficiency.
She pushes down her own worry about her husband, Jillian, all day. She has to.
It's only late that night, after she's personally checked all those winter clothes with Pinger, that she calls Zauer back for a private debriefing.
And this is where we see the person behind the CEO. Her instructions start out pretty standard.
Right, like, don't let your master get angry, be careful.
But they escalate so fast into this intensely personal threat. And it just lays bare all of her deepest anxieties.
That threat it's just striking. She tells Czar to make sure Jialin doesn't drink too much, and then very specifically she says, don't entice him to get involved with disreputable women.
And she threatens to break Czar's legs if he fails.
Wow, it's not a suggestion, it's a direct threat.
It shows that the same, unwavering control she applies to the account books, she applies to her marriage. For her, control is everything. She's managing silver, she's managing staff, and she's managing her husband's fidelity from hundreds of miles away.
So she finishes giving these terrifying instructions at, 4 in the morning?
Something like that.
And then 2 hours later, she's up again to face the next crisis, the sheer scale of Qin Kiking's funeral. She has to pivot from micromanagement to, state-level diplomacy.
Exactly. And this is where the family's power goes from being an internal administrative thing to this massive public spectacle. The workload she has before the funeral even starts is it's monumental.
I mean, get this, she's not just managing the funeral. She's running, 7 different high-level projects at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
She's organizing convoys, securing her own lodging, delivering birthday gifts to a prince's wife, congratulatory gifts for a duke's new son.
And on top of all that, she's still managing Yingqium's illness, consulting doctors, reviewing prescriptions. It's an executive function nightmare.
But the text makes it so clear that she's the only one who can do it. During the all-night vigil, she single-handedly manages everything.
Accommodations, the theater, the entertainment, everything.
Because all the other senior women in the family are, for one reason or another, unable to handle it. They're too shy, or they can't walk far, or they're afraid of meeting high-ranking officials.
Right, so she's the only one with the confidence and the, what the text calls the unrestrained behavior and generous speech to command a room full of nobles. She looks the highest ranks of society and acts like she sees no one.
And everyone praises her for it. They're in awe of her competence.
So the funeral itself becomes this huge litmus test for their political status. It stops being about family grief and becomes a massive display of their connections to the state.
Let's talk about the spectacle itself. The procession needs 64 pallbearers.
In black clothing, yeah.
But the titles on the spear banner, the Mingjing. Things like Protector of the Inner Court and Dragon Security Guard.
Okay, these are absolutely critical details. These are not just flowery aristocratic names.
Right.
These titles connect the family directly to the imperial security apparatus. Dragon Security Guard means you have an official role that puts you physically near the emperor.
Inside the most protected parts of the Forbidden City.
Exactly. So this isn't just old money status. This is status based on a direct, functional relationship with the very top of the government.
And the physical scale just backs that up. The whole procession, over 100 carriages, dozens of sedan chairs, it stretches for miles.
3 or 4 lines. It's a city-stopping event.
In an event like that, it draws out the highest nobility in the land. 6 of the original 8 dukes, the founding families of the dynasty, they all send representatives.
It's a political roll call happening in public. It's a confirmation of the Jia family's place in the hierarchy.
The only major family not there is the Duke of Shangros. And even that's explained. His grandson is in a mandatory mourning period.
So even the absence is a sign of legitimacy.
But the real confirmation of their status comes from the absolute top. The 4 princes' houses set up roadside sacrifices.
And specifically the North Quiet King, Shui Rong.
The text singles him out, right? As the most meritorious of the 4, his family still holds the full royal title. This is actual royalty showing up.
And that is a massive, massive endorsement. And look at how he shows up. He's young, under 20, handsome, humble.
And unconstrained by feudal customs?
Exactly. That's the key phrase.
Yeah.
He doesn't pull rank. He pays his respects personally and calls the Jias hereditary friends. That is political gold.
And then the status boost just goes into overdrive. The king makes a specific, personal request.
Yeah.
He asks to meet the one born with the jade in his mouth, Baoyu. He says he's wanted to meet him for a long time.
This is the moment. This where Baoyu goes from being just a grieving family member to a political asset.
And his father, Jia Zheng, he gets it immediately. He orders Baoyu to take off his mourning clothes, Tuo Kwa Shaofu, before he goes to see the king. Why is that one instruction, take off your mourning clothes, why is that so important right then?
Because mourning clothes represent the private sphere. They signify family tragedy, humility, a step back from state affairs. But when you meet a king, especially one who's honoring you like this, you have to immediately snap back to the public sphere. You have to acknowledge state authority and royal formality. Jia Zhang knows this isn't about grief anymore.
It's about status management.
It's about shifting Baoyu from the private tragedy to the public spotlight of royal recognition.
And Baoyu himself is actually thrilled. He's heard the stories about this king being a virtuous, romantic figure who isn't constrained by all the rigid rules.
He thinks he's about to meet a kindred spirit.
Yeah, someone who rejects the very system that defines his own life. And the scene cuts right as he's about to step out of his grief and into that meeting.